Hey, what's going on, everybody? Justin here at Trumful Reads, and in this video, we're going to start to try and catch up. Well, I'm going to start to try and catch up on all the just like kind of basic videos that I kind of let slide, like the TBRs and book hauls and wrap ups and stuff, because I don't think I really got any of that stuff done for November or December. So I feel like I'm a completionist, and I have to like do those ones before I do like the January ones when it's time to do that stuff. So that's why we're doing the November book haul, even though it's like the middle of January. But I just want to get some of that basic stuff out of the way before I do sort of the 2018 in review wrap up stat type videos, I guess. If that makes sense. Don't know why I'm flailing my arms all over the place. But let's see, month of November. I think I did a birthday book outlet book haul, or book order. This is the book haul. And then I think I got some books, and then I also got some pretty good books for really cheap at my local library sale type thing. So that's why I have quite a few books in this book haul. But let's just get started with some of the nonfiction. And the first three here were like $1 each. So, you know, I was like, I can't really mess that up for like $1. The first one's going to be Epic Survival. And that's by like one of the dudes from one of those like reality survival shows. Matt Graham and Josh Young. Dual Survival. Never really watched them, but I like kind of like the adventure exploration outdoorsy stuff, so I just kind of want to see if, you know, this like kind of the reality show type people have like, you know, good enough stories for like books and everything compared to like you know, real life exploration people. Probably didn't make a lot of sense, but anyways, it was like, I think it was like $1.20 or something, so that's why I got that one. Subtitles: Extreme Adventure, Stone Age Wisdom and Lessons in Living from a Modern Hunter-Gatherer. So, you know, I think it's probably going to end up being a little floofy for my taste, but we'll give it a shot. This next one also $1, but I'm actually really excited for this one. It's The Rescue at Dead Dog Beach, One Man's Quest to Find a Hope for the World's Forgotten Animals. This is by Stephen McGarva, and from what I understand, he's kind of like an adventure junkie, like skydiving and doing like really cool like adventure sports or adrenaline sports, things like that. And he was vacationing in Puerto Rico, doing stuff like that basically. And he basically found out about that there's like a particular beach where people either go just to, like, kill their dogs or abandon them or leave them, things like that. And it actually really got to him. While he was in Puerto Rico, and then I think he like sort of stayed there and started like sort of some sort of dog sanctuary or rescue shelter type thing. I'm not 100% sure, but it just sounded like a really awesome story, so that's why I picked The Rescue at Dead Dog Beach up. And for the last, for like the $1 ones, was The Odyssey of KP2, an orphan seal and a marine biologist fight to save a species, and this is by Terry Williams. And the only thing I really know about this is KP2 is the seal, and it's a monk seal. But it's, I don't know if it was born blind or if it was blinded by its mother or something like happened and it's blind now. But basically it's like the story of this like particular seal's like journey like around the world doing other stuff with scientists and things, I guess. So it sounded like up my alley with the life science book, so that's why I picked up The Odyssey of KP2 for like $1.20. All right. I can't actually remember all the ones that were book outlet ones or which ones I just sort of picked up or were given to me for my birthday. So we're just going to keep going with the nonfiction. And one that's been on my radar is The Almost Nearly Perfect People, Behind the Myth of the Scandinavian Utopia. And this is by Michael Booth, who is, I think he's like a British expatriate living in Denmark or something like that. So he's like perspectives of actually, you know, being Danish, I guess, since he's lived there for quite a while or something like that. But yeah, especially in like the United States, everyone talks, when people talk about like socialism and stuff, they always talk about the Scandinavian countries as examples and everything. So I just thought it'd be kind of a neat book just to learn about a little bit, I don't know, more about like Danish culture and what actually is going on behind the scenes and lifestyles and cultural norms and all that kind of stuff. So I just thought it'd be kind of a cool book. And I have seen other people review it and they liked it as well. So that's why I picked up Almost Nearly Perfect People. Alright, I wanted to start reading some essays. There was like a challenge for a one readathon, and I didn't end up doing the essay part because I kind of like trailed off and did like my own thing. But anyways, I picked up the Sunshine State for that purpose, essays by Sarah Gerard. If you guys don't know, I grew up in Florida for about 10 years, so that's kind of why I picked up this one in particular, which is, I guess, just kind of like quirky essays about Florida life or living in Florida, things like that. So that's definitely why I picked this one up. Plus, I really like the illustrations on the cover. Just really cool. And like I said, I grew up in Florida, so kind of just gravitated towards this one. All right, for like one of my only like legit history books, I got myself The Ghost of Kane, or Kanai. Sometimes I say Kane, but I think it's technically Kanai. But anyways, The Ghost of Kanai, Hannibal in the Darkest Hours of the Roman Republic. This is by Robert O'Connell. If you guys don't know, Kanai was like the third victory for Hannibal in his like trifecta. There was a River Trabia, then like Trasimene, and then Cannae. And at Cannae, 50 to 70,000 Romans were basically annihilated in that battle, and like the quintessential like double envelopment maneuver or whatever. So not sure what the whole book's about, because there's no way the whole book is about Cannae. There's just no way there's a whole book just on that one battle. I can't imagine. But I don't know if it's just about the whole early history of the Second Punic War. But if you guys don't know, I have like I'm starting to try and collect like a shelf of Punic War, Hannibal, type books, I guess, in my like Roman history collection. This one's been on my radar for a while, and I just hadn't picked it up till now. But it's got really, really good reviews, so that's definitely why I picked up The Ghost of Kanai. Alright, we got two more nonfiction books. The first one's Revolution for Dummies by Bassem Youssef. Laughing Through the Arab Spring. And I've actually already read this one, and it is pretty funny. Basically, I'll save it for the wrap up, but I'll just say it was really good. Bassem Youssef was originally a heart surgeon who basically became like a late night talk show comedian in Egypt during the whole Arab Spring era and the Egyptian Revolution and stuff. And he kind of goes through the nuts and bolts of Egyptian politics, but like really funny. And what he did actually was quite a dangerous thing to do. And eventually he had to basically escape Egypt because, his jokes were against like the political order or whatever, But it was really good. I'll say more for the wrap up, but I also love the cover too on this one. And right now, I'm currently reading this book I just started, and it's Mary Roach's Stiff, The Curious Lives of Human Cadavers. I had originally read Packing for Mars, and Stiff is her first book, but she basically writes really humorous nonfiction with really quirky and comedic footnotes and stuff. I just really enjoy it, and I plan on reading like her whole bibliography, and I've read about a third of the book, I'd say, so far. I'm really enjoying it so far. Maybe not quite as good as Packing for Mars, but still really good, and some of the more juicier stuff might be coming up anyway. So definitely recommend Stiff if you guys like comedic nonfiction. Alright, so now let's go on to the library sale stuff. So I got all these for like really cheap. Excited for them. First one's Theodore Roosevelt by Henry Pringle, and as you can see, it won a Pulitzer Prize in Literature for biography. And I think this was like I don't know actually when this one was actually, which is kind of weird because Edmund Morris, I read The Rise of Theodore Roosevelt, that one also won like a Pulitzer Prize, I believe. Okay, this originally came out in 31, but this is like a revised edition for 56. So I think it might be kind of interesting to read like a biography like within like a generation after Theodore Roosevelt died, and kind of compare the two books. It might be kind of interesting just to see how that like works out. Alright, then I got two National Geographic books, which I really like. These kind of like nature, geography type National Geographic books. What did I read? I read Eastern Parklands, or Our Inviting Eastern Parklands, and I really like that one. This one's Islands Lost in Time, which I think are just about like islands that haven't basically been like super modernized yet, or something like that. So I just thought it was like a cool book to read about. Obviously I really enjoyed the photography, stuff like that. But I mean, these books are pretty straightforward, but Then we've got Visions of a Wild America, Pioneers of Preservation, which I believe is just about sort of the wild places in the United States, like obviously like the parklands and reserve lands and stuff. But the part of the reason I picked up was there's like a moose right there in the background. I thought it was a great photograph. And obviously, I live in Maine, so moose are kind of like a cool thing for us. But the photography just looks really spectacular in this book. Of course, I'm flipping it so you can't, see it, as I destroy my bookshelf. But like I said, the photography looks really amazing. Things like that. Really excited to pick those up for cheap. And then the last books I got at the library sale, I'm ashamed to admit, but I don't have a copy of Lord of the Rings or The Hobbit. Yeah, no, that's kind of like weird, considering I have like a whole fantasy shelf or anything. I mean, I've read them all, but I don't have any like right now. But I picked up these matching paperbacks of The Fellowship of the Ring, Two Towers, and Return of the King. I just really like the artwork, even though they're kind of beat up. And one I think has a little bit of water damage or something, but overall I picked them up really cheap. Plus, like I said, I just really like the artwork and kind of the whole aesthetic of the collection together. Was really excited to pick those up for hardly anything at all. Alright, so now we have just some fantasy books, I believe. So yeah, let's just get through those real fast. We got Neil Gaiman's Norse Mythology. Talked about that in the last video. I might listen to this one on audiobook because everyone, on like every time I've ever mentioned it, has commented that Gaiman's self-narration of his book is spectacular. So I'm probably going to listen to the audiobook, or kind of like listen to the audiobook at the same time I like read it. Sometimes I do that as well. But really like the artwork actually on the paperback more than the hardcover, which is why I got the paperback. But yeah, like I said, I might end up doing the audiobook anyways. But there's the phone to, ruin the whole thing. Anyways, now that that's out of the way, let's see, we got 5 more fantasy books. I picked up 3 of these, the next 3, just because I want to start reading some more fantasy again, and I'm trying to get into some new authors and new series, even though I like 15 or 16, 17 series I haven't started yet. But let's just show these ones. We got You Die When You Die by Angus Watson. I think he's most known for, he has like a Stone Age or Iron Age trilogy of fantasy books, I guess. But this one, I just had to go with the 300-esque font, and the You Die When You Die. I don't know. If you're bold enough to put that as your title, I just had to buy it. And I like the Scandinavian sort of fjord-esque landscape on the cover and everything. Obviously, it looks really Scandinavian Viking inspired, but like I said, just interested to try this one. This one I got because The Free by Brian Ruckley, and basically because I like the gladiator sort of armor that this dude's wearing. I have no idea about this book, no idea about the previous book really either. With the fantasy books, I was just trying to do more just try some books I hadn't really heard of or seen myself. But like I said, I really like the gladiator armor. The only thing I know about this book is it's kind of a standalone, I guess, which is kind of interesting. And it'll help me out not to continue on reading books a part of series and not finishing the series. So like I said, just really like the artwork on that guy's armor. And this one, I basically just picked it up because of the title, Ice Forged. It's by Gail Z. Martin. Basically because it's Ice Forged and it has a lot of snow and mountains and blizzardy stuff. As I've said in other videos, I pick up fantasy books just because of the fact that there's cold, snow, ice in the title or on the cover. I think I got 2 or 3 other books. Basically just because I still haven't actually read any of them, so maybe it's just a good marketing ploy to get me to buy them but not end up reading them. But anyways, I wanted to start reading some more fantasy, I guess. I always slack, I do pretty good. 1 month I might read 4 or 5, and then the next month I'll read 1. I think in December I read 1 fantasy book, I think. So well, I have to be in the right mood, but if I'm in the right mood, I'll read a bunch at once. And this one, even though it doesn't have snow and stuff, the aesthetic of the white is really good. The Guns of Empire by Django Wexler. This is the 4th book in the Shadow campaigns. I have, I've read the first 2. I do need to read The Price of Valor. I do have that one. But like I said, I think this one was just on sale somewhere, and I just picked it up because I knew it was on sale and I was gonna need it at some point. But really like the artwork on this one as well. This is like Napoleonic flintlock fantasy, which is really cool. So I guess it really wouldn't be like flintlocks; they're just more like rifles. But I don't know if there's like rifles in something or something in rifles like as like a term for this subgenre. But anyways, I do like this series. I love flintlock fantasy. It's my favorite subgenre of fantasy, so I picked this one up. And then the one I'm most excited for, the last book of the haul, is Fritz Leiber's Ilmet and Lankmar, which is like I don't know if this is like part of a 2 or 3 volume omnibus series, but if you guys know Fafhrd and the Grey Mouser, this is basically an omnibus edition of like the first like dozen or so short stories, or 10 or something like that, of short stories of Fritz Leiber's Fafhrd and the Grey Mouser. I've read one Fafhrd and Grey Mouser short story. Really enjoy it. I love sword and sorcery. Like I said, I've read the complete Chronicles of Conan and stuff, and I got a bunch of like mass market like pulp fantasies and stuff. But I really enjoy the sword and sorcery subgenre, and this is basically a classic of that subgenre, and I don't really know much about it. Besides that, I think I will like it since I enjoyed the one I have read. So that's why I went with Fafhrd. Or actually, I didn't buy this myself. I got this as a gift from a birthday from Tim. So yeah, because he knew I was looking for like a good edition of Fafhrd and the Grey Mouser. So yeah, I'm really excited to get started on this one. So there you guys have it. Those are a bunch of nonfiction, a bunch of fantasy books, things like that. All the books I picked up in the month of November. Totally messing up all over the place. But anyways, tell me what you guys thought about any of these books, or what your favorite author out of any of these, if you've read any of them, or if you know anything about any of the fantasy ones, tell me what you think so I know which one to start with, rather than just kind of like randomly choosing one. But tell me if you can remember, tell me what your favorite book you picked up in the month of November was, even though I know that was like 2 months ago. But anyways, whatever you end up reading, always remember, read victoriously.